Hello party people and welcome back to So Square I'm Cubed. I'm Jamie. Hello. I may have hinted a little bit that we are going to do something a little bit spooky, maybe a little bit fun. Today's video is about the Reddit Bureau of Investigations. I wanted to do kind of a first look at the r/RBI. I am a frequent Reddit listener. I listen to people on YouTube who read Reddit quite a lot. That's probably most of my subscriptions at this point. I was interested because I've read a few, or rather, I've listened to a few RBI stories that are quite spooky. So, I'm hoping to find some spooky ones today. That's why I've set the mood. It's all orange and ooh, spooky. And maybe some fun ones on the way as well. So we're gonna dive into that. Now, before I get too far ahead of myself, there are some things I say, as I always do. The first being, are you subscribed yet? You should be. Don't forget to go down below and hit that button. The second thing I want to let you know is that if you have suggestions for any videos you would like to see, spooky or otherwise, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter to make your video suggestions. You can also leave them in the comments down below. Thirdly, if you would like to support me, namely monetarily, you can find me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Find those links in the description box. I would very much so appreciate that. And fourthly, let's get started. So I have pulled sort of a random assortment of things from the RBI homepage. Let's get started with, why do people I know from high school keep asking for my Cash App? Ooh, spooky. This one's not that spooky. User Suzg, that person says, I'm sorry if this is the wrong sub for this. A few people I haven't talked to in years have been messaging me on Instagram asking for my Cash App and saying that they're going to send me money or their company is having a giveaway. Why would they be doing this? I don't respond to them. What kind of scam or pyramid scheme is this? Well, my lovely Redditor, it's just a regular scam. People impersonate people on your friends list all the time, and now especially that Instagram is kind of intertwined, if you will, in the Facebook meta. Your Facebook friends list kind of crosses platforms, and people that you might know also crosses platforms. It's really common to see duped profiles of people you think you might know, but in reality it is just someone who was able to see your friends list somehow, copied somebody on it, and is adding as many people on that friends list as possible so they can be like, hey, I'm not a scammer, my account got hacked and I had to add you to the new one. It literally happens to me 6 or 7 times a week. A member of the RBI mod team, Nayhog, has said, scams. Some scammer has a list of your high school classmates and is spoofing as them probably, which is very easy to do on Instagram and Facebook, and pretty much anywhere you leave any crumb of personal information about yourself, scammers will find you. They will find you. So, solved or not solved, I think we can all agree that this poor user, poor OP, is really kind of just about to get scammed real hard. But that's all right. You just got to be smart about it and know what you're doing to avoid those scams. Phishing scams are no joke, people. Anyway, that was a rather tame introduction to the RBI, so let's move on to something hopefully more fun. And this post is from Enumerated Walrus. I love your username. That's hilarious. What do you have to say, Enumerated Walrus? The disappearing casket. Intriguing. Let's read on. I have a bit of a mystery I'd like someone to solve. A family friend told me this story and I'm having trouble wrapping my head around how it might have happened. The family dog has passed away and they put the dog in a box and buried him in the backyard. This dog was roughly 80 pounds, so it was not a small dog like a Chihuahua. It had a decent amount of size to it. Sometime after, the family was doing some landscaping and the company they had hired stated that for what they wanted to do, the dog's grave would have to be excavated. The family stated they did not want the excavation to disturb the dog's grave, so they offered to dig up the dog and transfer him to another burial site by themselves. I have my suspicions on maybe what has happened, but let's read on and we'll see. When they dug through the dog's grave, they found nothing. Keep in mind this was a decent-sized dog that was also in a box. I'm struggling to think of how this may have happened. I don't know how long the dog was dead before the excavation. I know it often takes bodies around 7 years to decompose down to bones, but it doesn't make sense that the box would disintegrate as well. Why do you know that it takes 7 years for a body to disintegrate into bones? Why do you know that? Moving on, my other theory is there may be shifts underground like tectonic plates that may have moved the whole box side to side or further into the ground, but I don't know if this is possible. I wasn't there, so I don't know if the family simply didn't dig deep enough, but this is a mystery that has stumped me to this day. Does anyone have any ideas? Depending on the kind of box that they used, it could be likely that everything was, disintegrated, as you so put it. That's just because of scavengers, things that can get into the ground, bugs, pests. So depending really on how long it was between when the dog was buried and they tried to dig him up, I feel like it really could be possible there was nothing left. But that's just one person's perspective. That is just me. And I have no degree in boneology. I don't know how long it takes for bones to decompose. So let's see what our fellow RBI investigators have to say about this. Senex Perellis says, things in the ground move. Underground animals and insects are constantly churning things around, creating air pockets and tunnels, which collapse and cause other minor shifts, etc., etc. Wood or board will rot and crumble. It's expected for buried pet remains to not be where you left them. Without an idea of soil composition, what the box was made of, or how long it was underground for, how deep it was buried, and how deep the family dug to look for it, there's no real way to know if there's anything unusual here. But from your description, it sounds pretty normal to me. I would have to agree with that. This does sound like pretty standard stuff. So looking through further comments, there's a lot of speculation. There's probably not ever going to be a real clear answer here. We did have a few comments saying like, oh no, that is actually really weird. You should still at least be able to find bones. So that leads me to believe that maybe the family really wasn't digging either deep enough down, or the dog's body did shift underground somehow and they just weren't in the right spot anymore. Do I think anything weird is going on here? No, I think it's just nature, and nature in itself is pretty weird. Moving on to something weirder, user Who's Gunther says, something weird happened at work. Advice needed. Not expecting much, just wanted to get this one out on the interweb. But I work at a retail store and walked into the customer bathroom, and a man was on his way out. When he was leaving, he dropped something. I didn't pay it much mind as I thought he would pick it up, but to my surprise, he didn't. I went to wash my hands and noticed it was a brand new iPhone 13 Max Pro, top of the line, most expensive one you can buy. I washed my hands and picked it up and went to flag him down, but he was nowhere in sight. I turned it on and the screen read, screenshot from the Notes app, lost phone, please call, phone number. And I tried to unlock it and it did. There was no Apple ID linked, no contacts, no photos, no SIM, just some random notes of lyrics and jumbled words, nothing like normal people would have in their phone, places to visit, important info, etc. I didn't get to look around much more, but the home and the lock screen had the same screenshot. I turned it into the guest services desk thinking it's maybe a bait phone or something similar. I just have no idea what it could mean or what it could be or why the man just left it. I have never been in a situation where I find a phone that has a screenshot with the lost phone number, please call thing, but that is genius. That is genuinely genius. As for this being a brand new iPhone 13 Max, I kind of feel like you probably just answered your question. There's probably nothing on it yet because he might have just got it. Literally might have just got it. Depending on the person, maybe he didn't realize he dropped it. I mean, y'all, I'm going to be honest, I'm a very clumsy and klutzy person. I have left my phone in stores on a shelf. I have left my keys hanging up in a Michael's before and tried to leave, not realizing I didn't have my keys. I mean, it's very possible he's just a forgetful person who dropped the phone and didn't even realize that it was him who dropped something. So this just seems pretty innocent to me. But let's see what the comments have to say. Maybe something weird really is going on. Basically, people are just saying like, hey, you can take it to the cell carrier and have them get it back to the owner. And then somebody else is saying, just call the number. Don't have an update on this because OP is waiting to go back into work to get the number and to try and call it. But I will say, depending what kind of retail store they work at, if you're at Target, of just knowing from like my firsthand experience, customer services has probably already tried to call the phone number. Either they got in touch with someone or they didn't. I'm gonna keep this one in my pocket so I can revisit it to see if OP ever posts an update. Those are always my most favorite. But yeah, I'm gonna say this was quite probably, literally, this guy just got this brand new phone. That's probably why he didn't stop to pick it up either, because he's not used to having it. And the first thing he did when he got his brand new phone is he changed the screens to say, if lost, please call the phone number. I don't think this is anything weird or nefarious. I think this is a very simple case of person got a brand new phone, dropped it, didn't realize they dropped it, and it got lost, and they just need to be reunited with their phone. Anyway, stepping off my soapbox now to bring you the next post. Posted by No Communication 7. Strange and annoying low-frequency, rough, rumbling noise in the middle of the night. Advice needed. Last night, around 3 a.m., I noticed a very low background rumbling noise. It sounded like it was coming from the floor or the wall, and it wasn't uniform like a typical hum. It was very rough, like something vibrating or an engine rough idling. I can compare it to a classic car, a motor with a bad bearing, or aircraft noise. It exhibited random pops and was almost like something moving. I was able to block the sound out by covering my ears. This noise actually caused me to lose around 2 to 3 hours of sleep. I've asked my parents and they said they didn't hear anything. I can confirm it wasn't a heating pump that's way too uniform, and the noise sounded lower than the typical 50 hertz hum, something around the 25 to 40 hertz. Around 5 or 6 a.m., it suddenly buzzed loudly and ceased. I do suffer from hypnagogia. I don't even know what that is. But I could confirm there and then that this noise was real, completely random, and seemed to be from nowhere. At one point, it seemed to also make a hiss. This is really freaking me out because for the last few weeks, I've been hearing strange noises near that wall, like tapping. I've always assumed it was wind, and the flash of light I saw a few weeks ago, and a few days ago, I was playing with a toy gun and found if I held it a certain way, it would start bobbing up and down on its own. I will appreciate any attempt at explanation. My brother also saged the house a while ago and said there wasn't much smoke coming off it in my bedroom. He said this means there's no spirit. I dabble in like the saging kind of vibes. I also dabble in the being haunted kind of vibes. You can see numerous videos on my channel about that. It's, like 3 a.m, you're losing hours of sleep. It's like a low hum with like a pop noise and a hissing noise. And then you also hear tapping. I don't know if you've ever had raccoons in your walls, OP, but it could be a raccoon in your wall, OP. The reason I say that is because you're like, it's not a uniform noise. Okay, so we know it's probably not any kind of machinery. You heard it late at night. Usually these kinds of animals, the ones that can get into your crawl space, pretty much anything other than squirrels, will be nocturnal. So, raccoons are going to be up late at night. Rats are going to be up late at night. All of these can make some very weird noises in your walls. Depending on the kind of tapping you're hearing, if it's like, then, okay, ghost. But if you're hearing like, that's an animal crawling inside your wall. Equally not as fun, but, maybe that's an answer for you. You can post your theories and thoughts on this last post in the comments down below. But in the meantime, party people, I've had a little bit of fun. Kind of wish some of these were a little bit scarier. Maybe there's a paranormal tag on RBI I can look at next time. We'll definitely have to see, because I want some spooky. I want the vibes. In any case, party people, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for sticking around this far, for posting your comments down below if you have left any. I very much appreciate that. And don't forget that I love you. Stay cool, stay cute, and I will see you in the next one. Mwah. Toodles.